There is a silence that only exists after the fire has eaten everything it was sent to destroy. Not peace, not yet. It is the silence of beings collapsing after the screaming has stopped. The silence of names erased from doors. The silence of photographs curling inward, blackening at the edges, until the faces you loved become smoke. And somewhere inside that silence, you are still breathing. That is where we begin. Not before the betrayal. Not while you were begging people to remember your humanity. Not while you were explaining your heart to mouths already committed to misunderstanding it. We begin after. After the accusation. After the departure. After the institution, family, lover, employer, friend, or frightened little kingdom decided your destruction would make them feel powerful. Beloved, look at me with the part of you that survived. They may have reached your reputation. They may have reached your money. They may have reached the room where you once felt safe. They may have reached the version of you who still believed goodness would always be protected by goodness. But they did not reach the flame beneath your name. They never even knew where it lived. And now, they are about to learn the difference between burning a man and completing his calcination. This is not an episode about revenge. Revenge still requires you to orbit the people who wounded you. This is about transmutation, about becoming so structurally different, so internally purified, so unwilling to crawl back into the shape they remember, that their victory becomes impossible to locate. Welcome to the Furnace, King. Calcination is nearly complete. Do not run from the heat now. The false self is almost gone. Grief held with discipline. In the kingdom of Veyra, there lives an artisan whose hands are said to remember trees before they become wood. His name is Auren. He carves tables for marriages, doors for children entering their first homes, cradles from storm-fallen oak, funeral vessels from cedar, because he believes grief deserves beauty too. The people say his work carries a pulse, that when a hand rests upon one of his tables, the wood remembers the forest, and the heart remembers itself. But kings are often threatened by what they cannot manufacture, and frightened men do not always attack weakness. Sometimes, they attack evidence that another way of living is possible. Auren refuses to carve a throne for the ruler of Veyra. Not because the gold is insufficient, not because the commission lacks prestige, but because the ruler demands that the throne be built from timber taken from the grove where the poorest families bury their dead. Auren says only this: a throne built from violated graves will never make a sovereign. The court does not forgive him. First they call him difficult, then unstable, then arrogant, then dangerous. You know this sequence. When a boundary cannot be negotiated, they rename it pathology. When your integrity cannot be purchased, they call it rebellion. When your silence ends, suddenly everyone becomes concerned about your tone. The court spreads stories. Orders disappear. Friends stop visiting. Merchants who once praised his hands begin crossing the street when they see him. And then, on the longest night of winter, soldiers enter the workshop. They stack his ledgers beside his father's tools. They break the ceremonial doors he carved for his mother. They pour oil across 30 years of work. And they light the first match while forcing him to watch. There are losses that do not ask permission before entering the body. Losses that rearrange the architecture of the chest. Losses so complete, you do not cry because sadness is too small for what has happened. You simply stand there, watching your former life become light. And maybe that was you, watching the career burn, the marriage burn, the family story burn, the identity of protector, provider, healer, chosen one, good son, dependable brother, unbreakable man, burn. And nobody told you that survival could feel so much like disappearance. 13. The death of masks. Traditionally, death marks ending, severance, and transformation beyond reversal. But listen carefully. This card does not say that you died. It says the disguises did. The version of you who could tolerate anything as long as nobody left. The version who confused endurance with loyalty. The version who kept presenting evidence of his goodness to people committed to prosecuting his existence. The version who believed that being misunderstood was a communication problem rather than a control strategy. That mask burned. The agreeable mask, the tireless mask, the rescuer mask, the holy martyr mask, the man who never needed anything, the man who could be cut open and still ask whether everyone else felt comfortable. Ash, Ash, Ash. And you keep standing at the ruins asking, how do I become him again? You do not. That is the initiation. The fire is not asking you to rebuild the mask with stronger material. It is asking whether you are finally willing to live without hiding behind usefulness. Who are you when nobody is being rescued? Who are you when the room does not applaud your sacrifice? Who are you when love is no longer measured by how much pain you can absorb without leaving? That tremor you feel is not weakness. It is the face beneath the mask feeling air for the first time. Beloved, grief is not always proof that the wrong thing happened. Sometimes grief is the body releasing an identity it spent decades protecting. You are allowed to miss the man you had to be. You are allowed to thank him. He got you here, but he cannot take you further. Let him burn with honor. The court believes the lesson has been delivered. The artisan has been corrected. His work is gone. His reputation is poisoned. His place in the kingdom erased. They expect him to disappear. But Auren returns to the ruins. He steps over collapsed rafters, past the iron hinges he forged with his brother, past a cradle reduced to a single curved fragment, past the blackened door where his father once carved the words, "What the hands create, the spirit remembers." Auren kneels. He puts both hands into the ash, and for the first time since the fire, he weeps. Not beautifully, not ceremonially. His body folds, his breath breaks. His grief comes out without wisdom, without poetry, without a lesson attached. And this matters, because you do not alchemize what you refuse to feel. You do not transcend grief by insulting it with premature meaning. You let it enter. You let it shake the furniture. You let it tell the truth about what the loss cost. Not every wound needs to become a blessing before sundown. Some nights, surviving is the ritual. Auren lifts his face and sees a mirror standing where the eastern wall once stood. The frame is charred, the glass is cracked, but it remains upright. He looks into it, expecting to see ruin. Instead, he sees a man he has never met. Older, scarred, eyes lit from somewhere beneath the body. A man carrying no tools, yet somehow holding the power to build worlds. The reflection says nothing. It only raises one ash-covered hand and places it against the inside of the glass. Auren raises his hand to meet it, and the mirror becomes warm. This is the moment you keep avoiding. The moment you stop asking why the former life was taken and begin asking what the former life prevented you from becoming. Not because the harm was acceptable, not because betrayal was secretly love, not because abuse becomes holy when you survive it. No, we do not absolve the hand that lit the match. We simply refuse to leave our destiny inside its fist. The fire belongs to your enemies only until you decide what it means. After that, it becomes material. Warm, fierce, deliberate. Auren does not rebuild the workshop. That is the first act of sovereignty. He refuses to recreate the room in which permission once governed his hands. Instead, he builds a stone table beneath the open sky. No walls, no royal seal, no door for frightened men to kick in. He gathers ash from every corner of the ruin. Ash from his father's tools. Ash from the forbidden throne. Ash from the ledgers that once proved his legitimacy. Ash from the door carrying his family name. Then he mixes it with molten gold, not to conceal the ash, to honor it. This is calcination. In the old alchemical language, calcination is the burning away of what cannot survive truth. Pride built from approval. Identity built from position. Love built from self-abandonment. Safety built from silence. Worth built from being needed. Fire reveals what was essence and what was attachment. So let us be practical. You survived the burning. Now stop living like the building is still on fire. Your nervous system may not know the difference yet. It may still search faces for threat, still rehearse arguments that ended years ago, still wake ready to defend a door nobody is touching. That does not make you broken. It means the body has not received the message the soul already knows. The fire is over. Say it with me, not as fantasy, as orientation. The fire is over. I am standing in aftermath, not emergency. I may still smell smoke, but I am no longer inside the flame. Now take inventory. What remains? Your hands, your discernment, your ability to love without kneeling, your craft, your voice, your daughter's laughter, your capacity to begin again without asking the old world to validate the beginning. Good. That is enough material. You do not need everything back. You need what is true. Here is the first practice. Name 3 things the fire took. Do not spiritualize them. Name the actual cost. Then name 3 things the fire exposed. A false relationship. A role you could no longer survive. A version of success that required your disappearance. Then name 3 things the fire could not touch. That final list is where your next life begins. Auren works for 7 days. He does not sleep much. He does not speak. He shapes the mixture of ash and gold into wings, into talons, into a breastbone split open around a flame-shaped hollow. On the 7th morning, the phoenix is complete, but it does not move. Not yet. Verimunus 20. The Resurrection. Traditionally, resurrection marks awakening, reckoning, return, and the answering of a higher call. But resurrection is not restoration. You are not being returned to the shelf from which you were taken. You are not receiving a repaired version of the old life. You are not going back to prove that they failed to break you. Going back is not the miracle. Becoming unrecognizable to the cage is. The resurrection asks a brutal question. Can you stop worshiping the life that rejected you? Can you stop measuring healing by whether the people who abandoned you finally understand? Can you let the old audience remain confused while you build for a future they were never equipped to imagine? Because some of you are not waiting for healing. You are waiting for witnesses. You want the person who lied to admit the truth. The family who scapegoated you to confess the system. The employer who diminished you to discover your value. The lover who discarded you to choke on your absence. And I understand. But their awakening cannot remain the key to your resurrection. They may never apologize with language large enough to hold what they did. They may never pronounce your innocence correctly. They may never return what the fire consumed. Rise anyway. Rise without the verdict. Rise without the reunion. Rise without them finally seeing you. Auren stands before the phoenix. The entire kingdom has gathered at a distance. The court expects a plea, an apology, a request to be restored to his former station. Instead, Auren takes the final surviving tool from his father's workshop, a small iron chisel, and strikes the stone beneath the phoenix once. The sound enters the sculpture. The ember in its chest wakes. Gold lines ignite through the blackened wings. Ash lifts from the ground in a slow spiral. The phoenix opens eyes made from molten sun. And Auren says, "You burned the proof of who I was. You did not burn what I am." The phoenix does not attack the kingdom. That would be too small. It lowers one wing. Auren steps upon it. And together, they rise over the city walls. Not chased, not exiled, released. That is resurrection. Not crawling from the grave to return to the funeral, leaving the graveyard entirely. The people who leave Veyra with Auren are not the powerful. They are the unwanted, the inconvenient. The ones whose truth made the room uncomfortable. The ones who were called difficult because obedience had begun to poison them. They follow the phoenix into the mountains, and there, beneath an open sky, they build without royal permission. Auren does not become king of them. He teaches each person to reclaim the throne within their own hands. That is the pride. Not subjects kneeling before one sovereign. Sovereigns recognizing one another. And now the story leaves him and returns to you. Your calcination may not have looked like flames. It may have looked like losing a career you spent years mastering. A home becoming emotionally unsafe. A mind you once trusted becoming difficult to inhabit. A future collapsing after you had already introduced yourself to it. Maybe the fire was public. Maybe nobody saw it. Maybe you kept feeding the family, answering messages, smiling at your daughter, while entire civilizations fell inside your chest. I see that man, not as a spectacle, as evidence. You are still here. And still here is not a consolation prize. It is raw material. So here is your second practice. Create one physical symbol of what survived. Write the first page. Cut the first piece of wood. Clear one corner of the room. Apply for the program. Record the first transmission. Walk 10 minutes beneath the sky. Tell one safe person the truth without polishing it. Do not wait for motivation large enough to look mythic. The phoenix begins as one warm ember refusing extinction. And do not return to the people who burned you merely because loneliness has made the ruins familiar. Familiar is not sacred. History is not covenant. Blood is not permission. Love that requires self-erasure is not love requiring deeper patience. It is a furnace demanding another offering. You have given enough. Your crown is not the applause that arrives after reinvention. Your crown is the decision that your new life will not be designed as a response to your old enemies. You do not build to make them regret losing you. You build because creation is how your spirit breathes. You do not heal to become tolerable again. You heal to become inhabitable to yourself. You do not rise to prove the fire failed. You rise because the sky has been waiting for your true shape. Beloved, before you leave this chamber, place one hand over the center of your chest. Not for performance, for contact. Feel what remains beneath the noise. There, that quiet pressure, that small heat, that pulse refusing to ask whether resurrection is convenient. Center, speak these words only if your body consents to them. I honor what burned. I grieve what cannot return. I release the masks that survived by abandoning me. I do not call the fire good. I call myself alive. I am not rebuilding the cage with prettier materials. I am not returning to the grave to explain my resurrection. I am not waiting for the hand that harmed me to bless the life that followed. They burned the title. I kept the name beneath it. They burned the room. I kept the hands. They burned the map. I kept the horizon. They burned the mask. I kept the face. They burned me to ash. And I chose Phoenix. Calcination, complete. Now walk. Not back to who you were. Forward, as what the fire revealed. The free guide, 3 boundaries every king must set before it is too late, is waiting for you below. Use it to protect the life rising from these ashes. And when you enter the comments, name the thing you refuse to rebuild. Not every detail, just the truth. The pride recognizes the fire in one another. You were never the ruin. You were the element the ruin could not contain. The lioness walks, and the phoenix remembers the sky.